For another quick battle ladder replay today on the Estalian Tomb map. Today I am playing up against fellow YouTube content creator Griff, the Marrowmeister, who is playing the Dwarves. I am playing the Vampire Counts. I'll link Griff's channel down below in the description, so please go and have a look at it after this. And we had a good chat beforehand, and hopefully planning to collaborate on something fairly soon. But this is a really good battle, and has a few elements that I kind of wanted to highlight. It was a good game, but has some good interactions in this matchup. For my opponent Griff's forces, he has taken 2 units of miners with blasting charges. 3 units of rangers, 2 of which are actually the Bugman's Rangers. Bugman's Rangers with their regeneration passive are, obviously don't have a lot of armor separate to most dwarves, what most dwarves have, but they still have decent melee defense. They're decent in combat. They obviously have a shield block chance as well that's relevant in this matchup. But yeah, great unit, tough to move for a skirmish unit. Behind that, he has 2 units of regular rangers as well as the Ulthar's rangers, with obviously they're marked by Ulthar to debuff missile resistance. 3 units of dwarf warriors in the next line, the Ekron's miners, as well as 3 units of quarrelers, and the Dragonback Slayers. For his hero core, he has taken Gotrek and Grombrindal. Obviously, Grombrindal has his Flash Bomb, as well as Grombrindal has no fear for the map-wide Unbreakable. Looks like he has gone a pretty cheap version of Gotrek here. None of the items really, just his regeneration proc. For my own forces, I have gone a pretty elite infantry core here. Again, just sort of playing around with builds. Wanted to do something fun, but it was surprisingly effective in this game. So 2 units of skeleton warriors just to act as a little bit of chaff. Basically, they're going to accept the blasting charges. 2 units of graveguard with great weapons. Obviously, fantastic in this matchup with their anti-infantry bonus and their armor piercing. I have taken also 3 units of crypt horrors, so again can punch through the front lines, get into the back ranks. Need to be careful of those slayers. I've also taken 4 units of cairn rates. Now this is, to some people, these guys get sort of automatically discounted in this matchup because they do magic damage, and obviously dwarves have their innate magic resistance. But the reason these guys are good is obviously they have a very, very solid weapon strength, and the split on their armor piercing to base weapon damage is huge. One of the best in the game for all armor piercing infantry units. So based on that alone, the fact that they just have such a high armor piercing rate of damage actually means they're surprisingly effective. They're also very fast for infantry, 48 speed compared to, I think, regular dwarf warriors and the like are high 20s, even rangers and that kind of thing, 33 speed. So they can actually close in and basically perform the role of backline sweepers if they need to be. Shut down ranged targets and the like. They also have an enormous amount of physical resistance, and magic damage on the dwarf roster is relatively sparse, and certainly in this matchup I think Gotrek and Grombrindal are the only things actually with magic damage. Obviously no spells either in the dwarf roster. I've also taken 3 units of Fellbats, so they're basically just going to be used to shut down shooting. For my Lord, I have taken the Strigoi Vampire Lord on foot. I didn't want to put him on the Terrorgeist in case we came up against Thunderers or that kind of thing, but he has taken the Power Stone and the Opal Amulet for obviously some Winds of Magic and the damage resistance, as well as the Command of the Unliving, which is his Crypt Ghoul Summon and Soul Blight, good for debuffing armor, despite the fact that I have a lot of armor in this list already. Obviously he has the ability to regain a lot of hit points as well. He'll basically, or if you sit him in combat, obviously with his hunger and his Ghoul King of Assuran, he'll basically always hit his healing cap and some extra armor piercing damage on him. So we'll get the battle underway. Now I also have in a deep vanguard, I think a little too deep as well on this map, the Feasters in the Dusk. Crypt Ghouls are actually really, really good at dealing with Slayers one-to-one. So they will pretty much make a beeline for these guys and hopefully try and shut them down. So as I said in the start, the Skeleton Warriors taking the brunt of the attack, basically exactly what I wanted, and accepting the blasting charges. They're probably going to crumble out before they even hit combat, but no big loss there. They're pretty cheap. They probably could have even been zombies, but now we're going to see my sort of rush hit home. The Crypt Horrors are getting into combat. They're going to do pretty well with their armor piercing and the like against miners. The Cairn Wraiths coming in on the Dwarf Warriors, and the Grave Guard slamming home here in the front line. Likewise, the Fellbats basically just diving in to stop everything from shooting. Obviously, the Ulthar's Raiders have some armor piercing, so I want to shut them down, and I want to basically just get everything on the back foot. I sort of had to toss up whether I was okay to lose the Fellbats. They will lose to Rangers one-on-one in combat just because they don't have great damage dealing potential. But we see a Soulblight going down here, debuffing a lot of units with their armor and their base weapon damage. And you see the frontline fight here. I'm starting to already push some Dwarf Warriors off with the Terror out, and sort of just wrap around the flanks as well with my faster moving troops. Obviously, the Dwarf Warriors here, one thing I sort of should have mentioned in the start is Cairn Wraiths still, you want to get them on high value targets with their damage split. Dwarf Warriors with their melee defense will hold them up longer than you want, and obviously Cairn Wraiths are costly, so probably not the greatest one-to-one fight here, but we are pushing through. I've summoned a unit of Crypt Horrors, basically just to use their mass to push through and get some good damage on the Ulthar's Raiders and shut them down, and even the Grave Guard now are managing to work through and push off these Bugman's Rangers. The Fellbats here have done a really good job. They're actually close to breaking these guys. I don't know if they got some assistance from something, but you see the missile troops pushing back. Now they will rally, so I do have to try and be sort of pretty aware to deal with them and make sure they can't sit and basically just extricate themselves from the fighting and then get shots into my rear, or just from a distance where I can't close, because I don't really have any swift movers left. My Fellbats, I think 2 of them have crumbled now. One of them is going strong here, and they're going to keep pushing these guys off. The unit of Skeleton Warriors here have just provided bodies in this fight while the Crypt Horrors go to work, but they're just the numbers now of the dwarves may be telling. Obviously, Crypt Horrors don't stand up to return damage all that well in a one-to-one fight, and I have summoned some Crypt Ghouls on top of the Dragonback Slayers to try and deal with them. Probably need to be pulling these Cairn Wraiths out. That's not a fight that they want to take, but my infantry now is starting to push through. But as I said before, because of the routing, my opponent's getting split up, and it's not a great thing for me actually, because I don't really have a lot of mobility to deal with stuff that will shoot in and get value. However, my Grave Guard have decent armor. Obviously the Cairn Wraiths have great physical resistance, but it's just the way to fire at the end that's possibly going to cause me some issues. My Cairn Wraiths rather are pretty healthy. 44 here, 37 here. I believe there's another unit here, 45. So they actually haven't lost any unit models. But this unit of Dwarf Warriors is just holding them up really nicely. They'd be handy somewhere else. Although I'm trying to sort of get my Grave Guard to stick on his missile play. The Gotrek versus Strigoi one-to-one fight is going quite well for me, particularly with the extra bodies. I should have probably kept them in the fight just to muck up Gotrek's attacks. But the Strigoi Vampire Lord, despite being a big boy himself, is not a large model, so Gotrek won't actually duel one-to-one that effectively here. And we see with the Claws of Morkane, not that the armor-piercing damage is really relevant here. He's actually getting the better of Gotrek. However, with the Dwarves' high morale allowing them to rally, they are sort of very spread out now, and with the amount of shooting on the board, I'm starting to sort of hit a point now where I may struggle to close everything down with a lot of value being gotten from the returned missile infantry. So obviously these Grave Guard copped a flash bomb, so they were slow as all hell. The Cairn Wraiths here are shutting down the Bugman's Rangers, but yeah, it's not often that you get out mobilized by dwarves, but just given how spread out they are at the moment, maybe the decision to hold back those bats, and I can't afford to be doing this either. I need to sort of blob and keep my forces together in order to just deal with the dwarves piecemeal rather than allowing myself to be split up. The issue for me now is that the Vampire Lord is getting double teamed, and Grombrindal and Gotrek will beat him 1-to-1, and their magic attacks won't be great for these can rates. Even though the armor piercing on Grombrindal is obviously a nice little bonus here. They will take a lot of damage. They'll be losing models very, very rapidly in return from both of these units with a very high weapon strength and magical attacks. And you see my Graveguard here are not fast, and I probably need to be chasing with my can rates. Obviously dwarves with 29 speed are still faster than Graveguard with great weapons. So these guys need to be in the fight here against the dwarven characters. I do get, however, a Soul Blight, so debuffing the weapon damage is going to be good for me here. But just the 2-on-1, the Strigoi can't deal with that, and you see just with every hit being made, massive amounts of HP being taken off. He doesn't have a lot of, not that the armor piercing, not that the armor would be that relevant, but he just doesn't have enough armor and melee defense to deal with the Strigoi, with both the characters, and he will be taken out. I do have in my favor, healthy units of can rates here. A semi-healthy unit of Graveguard here, but everything else has just been basically just ground down by, I think we see some disintegrated can rates over here. I am just trying to get these picks where I can now. I sense the opportunity here, and I'm pretty happy to take, obviously, the fight here. With their anti-infantry bonus, the Graveguard will put enough damage. They might be able to kill Gotrek if he doesn't get his healing proc, but again, it's just the spread of missile fire causing the debuffing of morale, which is leading to crumbling. Marked by Ulthar here is massive because the minus into armor and missile resistance means all this shooting is going to be uber effective. And despite the fact that the can rates here are in pretty good shape, they've only lost one unit model. They don't have a big enough health pool. Even if they had the same HP pool as a unit of Graveguard did, they might be able to just outlast Grombrindal and Gotrek here, but given they have a very, very small HP pool due to the fact that they have massive physical resistance, they're just not going to be not going to quite have enough to steal the day, and Grombrindal and Gotrek will survive the fight, as well as a tattered group of dwarven infantry. So a valiant defeat there for the vampire counts. Really good game though, really, really close game. I thought when the Strigoi was doing his work on Gotrek here, I thought I was in a pretty good position. I still had, I think, all 4 units of can rates, but the mark of Ulthar on the Ulthar's Rangers there was very, very relevant. He got a couple of really good casts of that off. Everything sort of performed its role here pretty well. I think having my Lord sniped was a pretty massive on the balance of power. If I'd been able to keep him alive, I may have been able to squeak out a win, and probably just I'm not sure which unit it was, probably this one that died last. Chasing with that unit of Graveguard just had them out of position at the end of the battle. And I should have been chasing with the can raids and fighting the 2 dwarven characters with my Graveguard to make use of their anti-infantry bonus. They would have also taken a lot less damage in return because they're not susceptible to magic damage in the same way that can raids are. But all in all, I really liked how this list performed. I probably shouldn't have overcast the Command of the Unliving into a Crypt Horror. I should have used a Crypt Ghoul and just sent them into the back line to deal with the shooting, and been able to then pull a unit or 2 of bats out before they crumbled, so I could actually keep some of his missile play routing once it did rout. Once they rout, they sort of got away, were allowed to rally and then shoot from a distance, and I didn't really have the tools to deal with it. So potentially, and maybe dropping 1 unit of Crypt Horrors for a couple of even a couple of units of Hounds just to apply pressure in the backline once things had routed. Probably could have, given how close the deployment is on this map as well, I probably should have just had the Skeleton Warriors as zombies and buffed out the front line a little bit, just more numbers, throwing more bodies into the fight. Obviously the Skeleton Warriors they're really not going to do any more damage than zombies will anyway to Dwarven infantry. But yeah, something to work with here. Like I said, Can Wraiths are a bit of a sleeper in this matchup. A lot of good Vampire Counts players will take them against the Dwarves, despite the fact that their magic damage may appear to be somewhat neutered by the magic resistance. But yeah, all in all, a really, really cool game. Like I said, I'll link Griff's channel below, so please go check him out and give him some support. And hopefully we can sort of fine-tune this list and maybe get a few more games in against Dwarves and squeak out a win with it. But thanks for checking out the game. Until next time, take care. Have a good one.